I'm Sam from Cultaholic. It's Thursday morning and I'm here with all of your lovely wrestling news, so let's take a look at the headlines. An AEW Star has missed Dynamite due to COVID fears? Which WWE Star has had their name completely changed? And which star was fined by WWE for getting a haircut? Find out in just a bit. So we're kicking things off today with the news that a top AEW star has had to miss Dynamite due to COVID fears. Now, AEW announced this afternoon, I'm just going to read this out so I get it right. Through contact tracing, AEW learned that Scorpio Sky was exposed to somebody with COVID-19 within the last 14 days. An initial test was negative, but AEW has decided to postpone tonight's scheduled match. So this is what we really like to see here. AEW are really on top, it seems, of the track and trace system. They are really putting all of their talents, concerns and safety first when it comes to COVID, and it just seems like overall they're just better at handling it than maybe another certain company who might have been accused of being a bit of a hotspot in Florida. That being said, we would like to extend our well wishes to Scorpio Sky. Hopefully there's absolutely nothing wrong with him, he's fine, and hopefully he can get back to work soon. And I guess that goes for everybody, because today is the first day of lockdown 2 here in the UK, so just remember to stay safe, keep your hands clean, and mask up if you're going outside, and hopefully this will all blow over soon, and we can all just go out and get mega drunk. Next up, we have the news that an NXT star has received a complete name change. Now, after a number of NXT talents have recently received name changes of their own, there's another one to be added to the list, potentially just going off their social handles. Anthony Green, formerly of Evolve, is now going under the name of August Grey, or at least that's what his Twitter account has told us. WWE are yet to file a trademark for August Grey, but if anything changes in that department, we will of course keep you updated. Worth noting as well that Grey appeared on NXT last night, appearing during the Thatcher's Thatchcan segment to attack Timothy Thatcher. We all know that WWE is fond of changing talent names, and as we said, this has sort of come hot off the heels of a spate of recent name changes in NXT. We now don't have any boring names anymore, no normal names. We can license all these names and make them our own, and they include Akeem Young, Ivy Nile, Zion Quinn, Tony Modra, and Odyssey Jones. And Tony Modra in real life is pretty annoyed about this entire thing. You should Google it, it's quite funny. That and August Grey is potentially the most wrestler name that I have ever heard in my entire wrestly life. Like, it's either the most wrestler name or it's the name of like a really cheesy new metal band, one of the two. But if you could change any wrestler's name right now, is there a name that you think is so bad it needs changing? Let me know who it is below, and if you have any ideas as to what you would change the name to. Next up, we have some updates from the wrestling world in relation to the current US president election. Former TNA legend and I guess, UFC light heavyweight championship or whatever, Tito Ortiz, God, he's such an impact guy, isn't he? God, company mainstay. Tito Ortiz won one of 3 available council seats in Huntington Beach, California, with 14% of the vote. A vocal Donald Trump supporter, the former UFC legend was noted as running on the sort of slogan of "Make Huntington Beach Safe Again." And it's also quite funny because in 2008 he was on The Celebrity Apprentice and he was fired by Donald Trump. So in the race for Nevada's 3rd Congressional District, former WWE enhancement talent Dan Rodimer, who is running for the Republican Party, is still waiting to see if he was successful in unseating incumbent Susie Lee, the Democratic candidate. As of my script writing, he was trailing Lee by roughly 5,000 votes, and if you're wondering who the hell is Dan Rodimer, then quite clearly you are not a massive fan of Tough Enough, and therefore you are not a massive fan of wrestling, so just get out. He was on Tough Enough 04, right? Just get out. And I guess on a related note, the aforementioned WWE Hall of Famer Donald J. Trump, United States President, is currently waiting to see whether he or his rival Joe Biden has secured the US presidency following Tuesday's election. Jackson Riker, who has been widely criticized for his comments on Twitter surrounding the Black Lives Matter movement, not wearing a mask, and his stringent support of Donald Trump, has just quietly deleted his Twitter account. While there's been no official reason given as to why he has deleted the account, it's worth noting that Riker doesn't really have many friends, it seems, backstage in WWE following the comments he made. Given the timing of the deletion of his account, one could assume that it has something to do with the US presidential election, but that is purely speculation at this point. He hasn't exactly said himself yet, I guess, why he's taken his account offline. You know, maybe he just watched The Social Dilemma and he wants off the internet. We may never, ever know. It's worth noting that Riker's recent controversial comments, just as the Black Lives Matter movement was really starting to take off, are rumoured to be the reason that the Forgotten Sons have been absent from TV. The Sons, which featured Wesley Blake alongside two actual US Marines, of which Riker was one, Steve Cutler was the other, were sort of presented as a patriotic faction, militia-esque, and they really seemed to be sort of stepping forward and getting some traction until, yeah, this all unfolded and they've disappeared. It's certainly a shame, as neither Cutler or Blake shared his sentiments online and actually tried to distance themselves from his viewpoint. I'd like to see both of those guys come back at some point as a tag team because they were working really well. Riker never really did much though, he just sort of hung around on the outside. It was those two that really worked well as a team, and it's quite unfair that it's these two have been sort of tarred with that same brush because they're linked to him via the faction. We may see them come back, but realistically I wouldn't be surprised if the men part ways. And finally, we're gonna go to Miro, who was on Talk Is Jericho, where he revealed that he was fined by WWE for cutting his hair. He said, "I cut my hair because I had nothing going on. They were beating me day in and day out. I was going away for shoulder surgery. I came back for one match and they made Big Show chokeslam me like 4 times or 7 times, and they tried to convince me it was to protect my character. Come on, man, I'm not that stupid. It's okay because I love Big Show. He put me over when I needed it, so I have to put him over. Who cares? I'm not that guy. Just tell him we need 3 chokeslams and a punch. 1, 2, 3. Great, I'll do it." They threw a big stink about my hair. They said, "How dare you? How can you? Why didn't you ask?" And he said, "Sorry, I'll ask next time." Now, while it does sound absolutely ridiculous, you do have to factor in that WWE are producing merchandise around the clock. They're producing figures, they're producing promo packages, they're producing all of this stuff just way, way, way ahead of time. So they do like their people to sort of stay with one uniform look for quite some time. It's why most people have quite uniform ring gear. They'll have the same hair for a while, they'll have the same facial hair for a while, and there tends to be a big change that comes with a dawning of a new face of their character. But it is still kind of absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the guy's going away for surgery, let him cut his bloody hair. What does it matter? I just find it ridiculous that for anything they could have fined him for, they fined him for cutting his hair. It's just daft. It's one of those like WWE isms, isn't it? Just on the point of Miro and Talk Is Jericho, he also revealed on the show that his feud with Lashley was set to spill into a match at WrestleMania that would have been one of the show's main events, according to Paul Heyman. He said, "I think Paul Heyman called us with that story and I was like, where's it leading? Of course, this is my first question. Cool, it's not my favorite story, but where is it leading?" And he said, "Main event of WrestleMania. One of the main events of WrestleMania." When you hear that, what are you going to say? There's plans. This is September, October, whatever. So it was nice to have a few months planned and it's very realistic. Cool. I jumped on board and I knew it was a red flag since the beginning, and a red flag it would indeed turn out to be. As ultimately it wouldn't come to fruition, with the, at the time, Rusev working his final match for WWE on February 17th. This also followed weeks of him just getting beat down. WWE's a weird place, man. It's such a weird place. But anyway, this has been your morning news. I've been Sam. Stay safe, and I'll see you soon.